this great sporting nation who has yet to embrace fully the world's greatest game, and for so long of trying to have the game accepted. And when I'm up at the big football field in the sky, I just want people just to remember I told you so.
And suddenly the complexion of the game changes. Let's hope it doesn't, but this is the best period for Iran in the match.
Adelaide, danger for Australia here, the flag's down! It's an equaliser!
You just feel for them. Not just the boys, they are representative of so many people who make this game their life. It's just, I can't say anything, mate.
All right.
Especially as they have the impetus. Aloisi, Cahill, Tim Cahill has done it again! What a goal by Tim Cahill! 2-1 Australia! Oh, it's a wonderful moment in Kaiserslautern! And Tim Cahill has come off the bench and maybe won the match for the Socceroos.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
She lays it off to Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Is driving. What a hit from Melina Reyes. Wow.
And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And welcome back to Radio Dub. We took a week off. I get it. It's weird. We're a bit of a floppy show sometimes. Someone did say to me the other day, Oscar, that we haven't been on for the entire time that the Dub season's been on. And I corrected them and I said, we did have a show in the first week.
Yeah.
But we had some technical difficulties last week, so we weren't able to come on as we would have liked. But we're back now. We're back now, and I'm happy to be back. And, some of you who do watch the show on a regular basis will see that Oscar's been a face. We've seen him before, but he's a bit different this time because usually we have Lockie Flanagan.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're much younger.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's good to have you on. But
I consumed him.
You did. You did
He's
consume
gone.
him.
Yeah.
Oscar, and I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Personally. How have you liked the Dub season so far?
I think the Dub season's been great so far. There's been so many really, really exciting storylines. I think, chief amongst which is Western United's early season success, which has shocked everyone. But it's really great. We've got a longer season, a closer to a proper season, and the competition's growing, and we're seeing the excitement build kind of like with every single game that's being played.
No, absolutely, Oscar. And you know what? Somebody said, you haven't been on for 3 weeks, okay? It's fine. So I said, okay, if that's the attitude you're going to bring, when we come back, we're going to have amazing guests. And you know what, Oscar?
Back with a bang.
Back with a bang. And you know what, Oscar? We've delivered. We have delivered. We've got 2 great guests on. First guest is from Sydney FC, new signing this season, Stanford graduate, I believe. Dad, NFL legend.
Yeah.
I do have some issues about the teams that her dad played for, but that's fine. We can't be picky about it. But we're talking about none other than Madison Haley from Sydney FC. Madison, how are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Very good, thank you.
So Madison, I was going to wait till later in the interview to talk about it, but I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and the fact that your dad I am correct he's in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys and the Niners?
Yes, I believe so.
That's, you see, like, they're just it's just upsetting. Like, anybody who played for the Cowboys, I'm just like, go away. I don't want to hear you. Like, you're just upsetting. What was it like growing up?
Come on, the Cowboys are America's team.
They aren't America's team. They're America's team for the past, not the future, not the present. It's not happening. It's over.
That's fair. That's actually
it's
fair.
Finished. But no, what was it like growing up in such a sporty household where your dad's like a legend?
Yeah, it's definitely a question I've gotten a lot, just in my career and in my life. I guess, it's the only thing I ever knew. Let's put it like that. But obviously had numerous advantages. My entire family is extremely athletic. At a young age, my parents put all of us into sports. And they didn't really care what sport. They were just like, find something that you're passionate about. So my oldest sister played soccer. My brother played soccer and football, and eventually in college played football. And my oldest sister played soccer in college as well. And then my other sister's a nurse, and she's like, nah, sports aren't for me. I'm going to do nursing. And when I was younger, I played soccer and basketball, and I hated basketball. I couldn't figure out the rules, just didn't get it. And so, yeah, at a young age, I knew I just wanted the ball at my feet. And my dad was, just happy that I found something that I was passionate about. And obviously he was an American football player, so he knew nothing about soccer now that I've been playing long enough.
Madison, have you corrected him and told him which one's the right football? Because I feel like that's just a real fundamental key. Which one is the right football?
Honestly, I think that's a losing battle to try to fight him on that one. To be honest, I'm like, you pick and choose, and that's not one that I choose to fight with him about. But we all know the truth about
that's right.
which is the real football. But yeah, it was fun, and I'll always be really appreciative about my dad and both my parents, quite honestly, letting me really find my footing in my game on my own and not pushing me to do anything I didn't want to do, and just being really supportive throughout. My entire career. My dad's like, I don't know anything about soccer, but I'll help you find people that do. He's like, I'm not going to try to tell you what to do because I don't know it. But he's like, I want you to know I'm here to help you. And so, yeah, that was always really, really special.
Well, Madison, I guess welcome to Radio Dub, and the first thing that you get is a grilling about
wow.
your fathers.
I was not a grilling. It's just got to. I just feel like we couldn't go through this interview.
You need to get it off your
exactly.
chest.
I just couldn't. It couldn't be a good interview. I'm just going to be honest.
That's right. Yeah. No. We promise we're friendly people. No. Look. So I mean, obviously, you speak about how much of an impact that your father in particular, and just having that background has had on you growing up. I mean, so obviously now you've moved out to Australia to pursue this sporting dream full time. How much of that was motivated by the desire to kind of have that fresh start away from all the attention or where everyone kind of knows that's who you are?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. I guess it never really crossed my mind. So I guess I would take that as a good thing. Like I said, my parents were really supportive of my journey, and they just wanted me to do what was best for me. And it was my decision at the end of the day. And they were just happy that, I found a place that I felt like I could be happy at, that I could thrive at, and that I could have an impact at. And that's definitely been the case. Just me being here for 2 months, I definitely feel that and feel the love here and feel at home here. And so, I ended up working out well, but I wouldn't say that was even really something that I was considering being a determining factor of leaving. I really just kind of thought about what I thought was going to be best for me in the timing of things, and ended up that Sydney FC was the outcome of that.
And at this stage, you feel like you made the right decision? Have you enjoyed your first couple of months?
Oscar, she scored a goal. Have you seen the goal?
Yeah, I have seen the goal.
Be serious.
Yeah, I absolutely love it here. It has just been so phenomenal to be here. Everyone I've met has been lovely. Of course, I'm talking about Sydney FC, all the staff and players, but just really everyone I've encountered since I've been here in Australia, and I've gotten to explore quite a bit. Still so much to do here in this amazing city. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. And like I said, I definitely feel already very much so at home here.
Now, I might just be blind on the internet, which is a high possibility, but are you here for the full season, or are you is it like a half season loan kind of deal?
No, I'll be here for the whole season.
Okay, so that means we're going to get more goals. Now, because I'm all about the goals. I appreciate the goals. I love a great assist though. I do love a great assist. What is like Madison Haley's like best goal that's like, if you could like create like the best goal, what would it be for you?
To be fair, when I scored on my debut, I was telling the girls, they're like, oh, that was such a good goal. You just kind of rocketed high. And I was like, I don't think I ever scored a goal like that before in my career. So I was like, that was pretty special. It was going to be special regardless, but to score like that was pretty cool. I think I'm waiting for a nice volley goal. I don't think I've scored a volley. So that would be kind of my dream scenario, for me to get a volley goal. That would be pretty sick. So yeah, I'd probably say that.
I'll be honest with you, Oscar. Yeah. I'm definitely falling. Like if somebody like volleyed the ball into me, like I'd trip like midair. It would just be like one of those like go for the Caesar and then I would end up on the floor and I would become a meme like on the internet, and I just don't think I could handle that. But so go back to Sydney FC. What's it like being around, because obviously in the A-League Women's, there's a lot of players come from all over really to play, but we do have a large contingent of Australian players playing at these clubs. What's it been like, adapting like culturally? What are things that you found that's like, oh, this is so different?
Well, like I'd say the slang and a certain lingo. Like there were certain things I had no idea. Like our coordinator texted our group message, and we did a change of time for our training, and he was like, it's not gonna be in the morning, it's gonna be in the Avo. And I was like, what is that? I was like, I just thought it was a typo. And then I go to training and I ask the girls, and they're like, no, that's just what we say for afternoon. I was like, oh, okay, I had no idea. So it's been a lot of me trying to pick up on some of the certain words they use that are different. But yeah, luckily I've had some of the girls, like Taylor Ray was coaching me up and trying to help me learn what these words mean, as well as, when we're in the physio and in prehab. So yeah, luckily I've had some of the girls trying to help me out there, and then giving me recommendations on Australian food to try. Because they're like, go to Woolies and you need to try Tim Tams, or you need to try this. And I'm like, I didn't even know what Tim Tams were until, they're telling me these things. So yeah.
Have you now discovered that they're the greatest chocolate piece of chocolate food in the world? Is that what you discovered?
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
See, Oscar,
I don't know if I could give it
stop the interview.
that.
Stop the interview. Madison's, no. I don't know what Madison's doing, but Madison, no, come on. Be honest with yourself. Like, I get it. The America's got some great treats there. I get it. But the Tim Tams are the best.
They're great. They're good. They're good. Okay. I'll give them that. I'll give them a solid 8 out of 10. 8 or 9 out of 10.
So what tops that list, though? What's the 10 out of 10 chocolate in your life?
I mean, to be fair, I don't eat chocolate a lot, but I feel like Godiva chocolate would probably be one of the top brands, I feel like, for chocolate. I would say Godiva, but that's like the only.
What's Godiva?
I'm glad you said that. I don't know either. I'm going, what?
That is?
What is that? Is it like fully American? Like, what's Godiva?
Look it up.
Oscar, search that up, please.
Yeah,
we can't be looking like full.
I think it's like actually a Swiss brand. I could also be making that up, but it's very popular in the States.
Okay.
But it's really good. Really,
Godiva.
Really
Godiva. It sounds like G'day Mate, but like they've just tried to rip it off.
There are Godiva shops here in Melbourne. There you go. We're just uncultured.
Okay, we all need to try it, Oscar.
Yeah, evidently.
Okay, yeah. So you guys go try it, and then we can rehash this debate.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's fair.
You've raised our expectations. Now I'm excited.
I'm very much excited. But you've been playing. Obviously, you played at Stanford, correct? Now, one of the things at Stanford, we think of really smart people, just like walking around, laptops out, taking over the world. They're geniuses. Us, little people, we have no idea.
That's true.
What is Stanford actually like going to go to?
It is. Some of that is true in terms of people walking around with laptops. Like, I was famous for bringing my laptop to like sporting events. That was very much so an occurrence that you'd see at halftime of our men's soccer games. We'd pull out our laptops and do some work. So, the grind never stops.
True student athlete right there.
Sure.
Yeah. True student athlete.
Student athlete. Yeah. The athlete. But yeah, it's a lot more normal than you'd think. Everyone obviously is very, very smart, very accomplished. But it's also one of the most welcoming places I've ever been in, quite honestly. Everyone there is there to support you. That's from just your people in your dorm, teammates, that's staff, just everyone, professors, like everyone just wants you to succeed there. And I think that was something that I was really taken aback by. That's just not what I expected when I entered college. But obviously, it was just phenomenal. And it's a great environment to grow and learn in. But yeah, there's definitely a bit of the nervousness being there and feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm around such smart people. But you realize when you get there that you deserve to be there as well. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of kind of growing into your own and gaining that confidence as you go. But yeah, it's a lot more normal than you think. But yeah, it's a good time.
And obviously you've now transitioned to, obviously chasing your sporting dreams, coming out here to Australia. I guess what's that been like, kind of being able to put all your energy and all your attention into pursuing sport rather than having to balance that with the student life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And luckily, right before I left Stanford, just the way things work, my last season with Stanford ended in like November, December, but I still was finishing my master's. So I was still at Stanford until June.
Finishing your master's. Sorry.
Yes.
Madison, how old are you?
I just turned 24.
No, see, Oscar.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
This is we need to figure this out because I don't feel like we're on the right path.
We don't even know what Godiva chocolate is.
Exactly.
We missed out.
What are you doing your master's in? Sorry, if you don't mind asking.
I got my master's in sustainability at Stanford.
So, Madison might be the smartest person in the Liberty A-League. Is that what you're telling me? Because obviously we have a mathematician as well in the dub.
That's true.
So, Madison, maybe we need to have like an intellectual competition that's happening.
Now I'm nervous.
No, but...
Well, Madison, I mean, you're an expert in sustainability. How long can you see? I know, I've just
You've done that.
I've labelled you with that. You've I've taken it and I've run with it. How long do you see yourself sticking around in Australia? Ooh. I know it's early to ask that question. Well, I've thrown you right in the deep end, but obviously you've enjoyed it so far. Is this something that you'll do a season and then you'll head back and see what happens, or take it as it comes? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of take it as it comes. I'm only signed for one season as of right now. Obviously don't know how things will play out. Obviously, as we get to the tail end of season, obviously it's a little too soon to really be thinking about anything like next steps. So I'm very much so just focused on, our game this Saturday and taking it day by day, week by week. And so that's kind of where I am right now. But like I said, I've really, really enjoyed my time here. I would not be surprised if this is not a one and done for me. I definitely would love to come back here. And
we love that.
It's been great.
That's awesome. I mean, and you spoke about focusing on this week. A question about the here and now at the moment at Sydney FC. Obviously, Remy Simpson has made her way back to the club, and you and her are perhaps in direct competition for that starting striker spot, I guess. How's that relationship going with Remy? Are you getting competitive? Are you feeling like you're going head to head for that spot?
Yeah, I mean, we're both strikers. It's pretty clear that we're both going to be competing for that spot. But luckily at Sydney, we have depth in every single position. So it's not, anything abnormal. That's every single girl, every single person that is at the starting 11 has been fighting for their spot. And it's very much so every single day you've got to bring it because you genuinely have someone that could easily step in and do the job. And I definitely feel that way about Remy. Again, I didn't know her, but she's obviously been at Sydney, very familiar. All the girls know her, and she's such a character in the locker room. So I know all the girls have really enjoyed having her here. I've enjoyed getting to know her. She's very easy to talk to, and I'm 9 and she's 10, so we sit next to each other in the locker room and stuff. And it's very, very fun, very amicable relationship. And like my first session, her first session, we were doing something and she came over and was like, that was amazing. Everything you're doing was great. And I was just like, whoa, like who is this girl? But that's who she is. She's just super bubbly, full of life. And, everyone at Sydney just wants the best for one another. And so, we have a very friendly relationship. And I think we push each other. So it's all good.
No, see, I like to hear that. I love to see women supporting women, but getting competitive. But I really like that. But Madison, I want to talk a little bit about, your future in terms of like where you want to see your career. Obviously, you've been in some national team camps, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What do you like? How do you see like that pathway? Because obviously you're pretty young and you've come to Australia, and there's been some players in the past, who've played for the national team, who've come to Australia and then gone back and then established themselves fully in the national team. How do you kind of see that, your trajectory in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, there's a direct pathway, and I've seen that with plenty of women from the NWSL coming here and then going back. I'm more kind of on the short-term loan type situations. Again, I try not to get too ahead of myself. Obviously, Ante is like, he said a couple weeks ago, like, give me until January, we'll get you into the national team. He wants that. He wants that for all of his players. Again, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I know if I want a shot at the national team, I need to be performing week in, week out for Sydney FC. And so that's what I'm focused on. But yeah, I think there's such a clear pathway to really getting myself into the mix with the national team playing here. And this is a league that obviously plenty of Americans are familiar with. I feel like I'm getting better here. And that's the most important thing. That at the end of the day, if I feel like I'm growing and developing as a player, I'll definitely back myself to work my way into the team. But yeah, I get in terms of whether that's me being here and then going back and trying to establish myself at the NWSL, I don't know. Not trying to get too ahead of myself, kind of just taking it day by day and really focusing on being present. I think that's really important. For my development.
No, well, Madison, we really appreciate you joining us on the show, even though we're not clearly haven't got our stuff together. I was almost about to swear. I didn't do it. Because we've got sustainability, Masters of Sustainability, Stanford graduate.
Yes. Scoring
amazing goals at Sydney FC.
It's all happening.
We need to figure stuff out, and we need to have Godiva?
That's right.
Godiva chocolate next time Madison comes on the show. Madison, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and join us on the show, and good luck with the rest of the season, and good luck with the rest of your career, and hopefully come back onto the show.
Of course. I'm happy to come back anytime. Thank you guys so much. And please do try Godiva. I do want to hear. I want to hear from you after you try it.
We shall.
We'll do.
We will head to an ad break, and we'll be back with just some chat about the upcoming week's games.
Penalty conceding kind of situation, but Atkinson did well. Avoid the top. Oh my goodness! Have you seen a more freakish goal in A-League history? Riley McGreen with a scorpion kick into the top corner. It's one of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Come on, Ernie, on your feet.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Maloney takes, and it's in! It's Ben Watson! It's Ben Watson for Wigan Athletic! They've surely won the FA Cup! For Dave Whelan, for Roberto Martinez! You just cannot write scripts like this!
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Pickett, she lays it off Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Is driving. What a hit from Melina Reyes. Wow.
And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And we're back here on Radio Dub, and if you missed the first 20 minutes of our interview of the show actually, we spoke to Sydney FC striker, new recruit Madison Haley, who's also a Stanford graduate.
It
makes me, Oscar, every time I hear about these like A-League women's players and they're like athletes and really like intellectual people, I just feel I'm like, look at us here. What are we doing?
It's a bit unfair, isn't it, really?
It is, I just feel like we're just giving, like, these guys have they already got it. They've already got athletic ability. What about the rest of us here, We're here just talking.
Unequal distribution of talent.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all, Oscar. I'm not a fan. But, I'm a fan for them. But
It's good when they bless us with their presence.
Exactly, and that's what I appreciate about it. But enough about the interview before, which you can listen to on everything, really.
Everything.
SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything you like, go check it out. It was a great interview. We really enjoyed having her on.
It was great.
But looking ahead to this weekend's fixtures, we've got 2 games starting at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and I will be doing the Melbourne City and Newcastle Jets game with Catherine Connolly. So check that out if you're not watching Dub Zone. And the other 3 p.m. game is Canberra-Wellington. Let's talk a little bit about what game do you want to talk about? Canberra-Wellington or
we can start with your game.
You start my game?
Yeah, fair enough.
I've actually never been more excited for a game.
Never been more excited for a game. That's a big claim.
Never been more excited for a game.
Never been more excited for a game.
Never
All right, tell me why.
Because for this, in the dub maybe, because it's actually just the vibes fest if you really think about this game. Newcastle, for me, are the most fun team to watch in the competition at the moment. Murphy Agnew and Sarah Griffiths have been electric on the field. Like, actually been electric, constantly creating chances, going forward. They're really positive with their movements. That's something I really enjoyed watching about it. And Newcastle, just like, when they go forward, I'm always like, oh, are they going to score? And Melbourne City, who I thought were a team that maybe would have taken a step back this year, and they've had some changes early on in this season with Rado heading off to coach the men's teams with PK off to France and his son Dario coming in. They've been really well. They had Hannah Wilkinson out, we found out at the start of the season, and Maria Rojas has said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I've got this. What have you made of both these two sides and heading into the game this week?
Yeah, well, I get why you're really excited, because they have indeed brought many good vibes to the season so far. Absolutely. I think they've been 2 of the most fun teams to watch. As you say, Sarah Griffiths and Murphy Agnew have brought so much to Newcastle. I think having Tara Andrews there as well just enables those kinds of players.
And Tara Andrews didn't start in there. Ash Brodigan was starting up front for them in their first game against Brisbane, and then she got injured. But they've just got good players to interchange in that position at the moment, and I really enjoy watching that.
No, for sure. They've refreshed the team whilst also keeping that stability with, the most stable player in the A-League Women's in Cassidy Davis, and then as well as Lucy Johnson. So I think they've got that balance really well. I think the challenge for them is whether they can match it with the teams that have just frankly straight up more quality than them throughout the rest of the season. That's the thing that will most likely hold them back. But for now, at least, I agree, they're so much fun to watch, and they're a real treat. Whilst Melbourne City have certainly exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, a few weeks before the season, I
feel like I owe people at Melbourne City an apology.
Yeah, but a few weeks before the season, we were looking at their squad. We were going, they've lost a whole bunch of players and they haven't replaced them. Hannah Wilkinson's injured. What are they going to do? Where are the goals going to come from? Rihanna Policina's the only person who's going to be able to offer anything. And they've, first of all, recruited really smartly in the final few weeks, and then second of all, as we say, that the way they've played has been really exciting. I think Amina Ekic has been excellent. She's finding her feet now in terms of just that clinical touch as well. Obviously, they've got super young, exciting players like Daniela Galich, who's blowing everyone away, and everyone's getting really excited about what she can provide. And just they, like Newcastle, they're having fun. You can see they're having fun, and I'm having fun watching them. One
of my favourite players from that side has been Rihanna Policina, who has been on Radio Dub before. Go check out that interview from last season. I really enjoyed that. But her footwork, and I think she's taken a massive step this season. Yeah. I think she was really good last season. Her and Letitia McKenna were good, and they provided a lot. But she's even taken a bigger step than I thought maybe would have happened so early in the season. Maybe heading closer to the end of this season, we really would have seen the culmination of all her work. But she's put it together so early, and it's been really impressive to watch her play.
And well, if you look at some of the pillars of the Melbourne City team last season, the likes of Hannah Wilkinson, the likes of Rebecca Stott, the likes of Holly McNamara, and the fact that none of them are there at the moment right now. And so I think in many ways everyone was looking to Rihanna Policina to step up and to fill some of those holes, and she has done that absolutely.
No, but I think that's what's really impressive about Melbourne City is that players that you wouldn't have expected. Maybe you expected something like, when you think about their entire, what their capabilities are, you think, oh, they've got it. But so early on, you wouldn't have expected them to put it together so, nicely. And obviously the season has just started, and we have a much longer season this year. it's going to be really interesting to see how they adapt, especially with Hannah Wilkinson coming back and Holly McNamara coming back in early next season, next year, not next season, sorry. I'm fascinated by that side. But the other game at 3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday is that Canberra-Wellington game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts heading into that game?
Well, I feel like much like the Newcastle City game, there are lots of good vibes for the Canberra-Wellington game. I mean, perhaps
you saying
less...
Sunday 3 p.m. where Dub Zone is on is good vibes? So what you're telling me, Oscar?
I'm saying that there will be many, many good vibes for Dub Zone this weekend. I think, both Canberra and Wellington, they're different to most teams in the competition, and that the expectations and the nature of their existence and of the club is a bit different to other teams, but that gives a kind of, dare I say, a liberty to their...
Liberty. Look at that. Look at you coming with the puns.
He said the name, he said the word, he said the thing. And they have a freedom with the way in which they play and they approach the game. Obviously, there's been a bit of discussion about Wellington this season and the fact that they have struggled. Obviously, 0 points from their opening 3 games is not ideal, having in this their second ever season in the competition. I'm certainly not abandoning hope yet for Phoenix.
And that's my thing as well. I'm not abandoning. I really enjoy the football Wellington play, and I like the way they play. I just think that based on the fact they have a relatively young squad, and it is their first season playing together, it's their first season being in New Zealand as well, it's a lot to ask of such a young group. And I think to expect them to win a ridiculous amount of games is like you're setting them up for failure in that sense. Yep. I just want to see really good, consistent football throughout the season and see them progress and get better. And I think the wins will come eventually, and the draws will also come with it, and they will learn a lot and they will be better for it. A lot of these players heading into next season if they're back in the dub.
And what they're bringing is more than just on the pitch. It's what they're doing for New Zealand, for women's football in New Zealand. And we saw that in their first 2 games at home. And to just those experiences in many ways make this, it sounds dramatic to say it makes the season a success in and of itself, but I think that more than most football teams around the world, there are extra elements to what Wellington are bringing to the competition, and they're bringing that, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see Grace Jarley face her former side.
For sure.
I think she's been good.
She's been brilliant.
To start this season, and what a talent that Canberra snapped up. Because Canberra, when they kept announcing players, I was like, how is Canberra they keep accumulating a lot of talent. So I'm fascinated to see as the season goes on how they'll put it together, because I don't think they've clicked. They haven't clicked yet.
But it's kind of like Wellington. It's a bit like Wellington in the sense that there's lots of youth, there's lots of squad turnover, there's a bigger picture here. Their circumstances are different to, every other club in the competition. So I feel like that needs to be relevant or be taken into account when we assess how this Canberra side's going. But on the pitch, they've actually been going really quite well up to this point. I think they've also exceeded expectations, or they have been a team which has exceeded expectations, although I do think we'll learn a lot about them in this game against Wellington. I feel like this is a game that Canberra will rightfully say they have to win. They have to win this game.
I think they head into it as strong favourites, and for me, I want to see a full 90 from Canberra though, because I don't think I've seen a full 90. Maybe I'm incorrect in that, but in seeing their games, I think they've had really good periods, but unlike City, I think City's probably been one of the only sides that have actually put in a full 90 minutes of control. But yeah, I'm wanting to see that. But the other Saturday game this week, which is a 5:05 kickoff, is Sydney FC, who Madison Haley plays for, and against Brisbane Raw. I think that's going to be a cracker of a game. And absolutely, I think both sides, Sydney FC heading into this game with Nat Tobin out after getting 2 yellow cards in the derby last weekend, how both sides are going to match up, because Brisbane have very threatening side going forward. I think defensively has been their issue for a few seasons now. So I want to see how those two teams match up.
Yeah, I'll reserve judgment on Brisbane at the moment. They are the team that I'm perhaps more concerned about than most, the way that Melbourne City outclassed them last weekend. And of course they are doing this whole stage of the season without their best player in Katrina Gorry, which is a huge loss and
because their
cannot be
team
understated.
changes so significantly when she's playing, and the balance in the midfield I think is much more even, and it allows, by her playing, it allows the other players to be significantly better because they have a reduced workload on the field, so they are more free moving going forward, and she gives them, I think, some stability going back where she gives direction to a lot of players as well.
So and look, I'm not writing off Brisbane by any means, but I think that if they are comfortably outplayed by Sydney and this is a 3-4 goal margin, that
it's very early to jump off the ship.
It is really early to jump off the ship, but
I'm not jumping off any ships.
I'm not. Yeah, I feel like that gap would be too big to overcome if they were to prove that they are with another team so substantially behind.
No, and I think that's fair. That's fair for you to say. But the side that came out, both sides had tough weekends last week. We've got Adelaide United, who lost last minute, basically.
Should we deal with that game last so that we can talk?
Oh, actually, you know what, Oscar? You see, this is why
forward thinking.
This is why you are the new co-host and not Lockie anymore. This is why. This is why. It's not that Lockie's in Sydney. It's that
This is the reason.
This is the reason. Yes. This is the reason. But no, the other game on Sunday, 7 p.m. kickoff. Last game. This game is going to be a cracker. We have one of the members of the Dress Well, Coach Well, Play Well fraternity in Alex Parkus is Perth Glory taking on maybe the best coach in the competition in Jeff Hopkins. Both their sides face off.
Eat well, coach well, play well is the Jeff Hopkins handbook, I think.
Is it?
Big fan of, we regularly see him munching on a banana.
That is true. That is true. But no, both sides haven't started the season the way they would have liked, especially Victory. I think they've surprised a lot of people the way they've struggled early on. So it's going to be really fascinating to see what changes after their win last weekend and how players have played.
I think this is perhaps the most consequential game of the weekend because, as you say, two sides who I think most people were expecting to be right in and around the top four. Victory perhaps even better than that this season, and they've both made slow starts to the season, albeit Victory coming off the back of a win. And I think that losing this game on Sunday night puts you so far behind the rest of the competition. Of course, now we have a longer season, so that's less severe than it would have been in years gone by.
It is still only a final, like a top four. But
it is still only a top four. So if Perth lose this game, that's a huge, huge gap to overcome at this stage of the season, even though I've actually quite liked how they've played even in the absence of good results.
This is my thing has been constantly about Perth. I love the way they play, and I think that Alex Parkus is a great coach with the squad that his way to get the best out of all his players, I think, has been really impressive. And to see the likes of Hannah Lowry, I think this season she's looked better to me.
Yeah.
Her ability, but they just can't get wins together. And I think it will click, but with the longer season and they've only been a top four, they have more time to figure it out, but also how much time do they really have in terms of being able to not fall too far away from the top four pack.
Yeah, I think that Perth may be a classic case of a team that, you see the potential there. They play good football. They have exciting players. But I think particularly defensively, they've been really suspect so far this season. I think they've conceded something like 5 goals in their opening 3 games.
Yeah, they've conceded 5. They've scored 4. They're on a -1 at the moment.
Yeah, and that just leaking goals may hold them back, which I don't want to see because I really like Perth. I really like the way they approach it. Of course, there is a meaningful amount of NPL Victoria bias in that, but yeah, I think they're wonderful.
I think, if you take into account the side like Newcastle have conceded, it looks like 6 goals and I've scored 7 more.
Yeah.
And obviously that Western Sydney Wanderers game was has helped them out in like that. But if you're more threatening going forward, which I think sometimes they can be a bit apprehensive around the box and they're not as direct as maybe they need to be. Then when you're leaking that many goals, it makes it much more difficult when you're trying to catch up if you're not as threatening going forward.
But absolutely, I 100% agree. But I think that equally, the nature of the quality and the the untapped potential of this team means that any week they could turn it on and they could just play I think just about any other side in the competition just about off the park. They've got those kinds of players and they approach the game in that kind of way that Perth, for me, have a really high ceiling that I'm excited to see them reach at least at some point this season.
I think they will. I have no...
I'm not as worried about Perth as other teams. I feel like the results will come.
Well, the results will come because those... those quality players, I just don't think they will allow that to happen throughout their season. We'll talk about the final game and then we'll head to an ad break and then we'll come back with our guest, our big guest.
Big guest.
We've had two big guests.
Two big guests,
come on. But that final game of this weekend, which is the 4 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, is the Wanderers taking on Adelaide, with Adelaide going down last minute to... Western United, who've had a fantastic season to start off. They've got the bye this week. I just realised that after going through all the teams. But Adelaide going down 2-1 last week, courtesy of a Sydney Cummings goal, I believe.
Yep, and an Emma Rober's goal.
And Emma Rober's goal as well. And they take on the Wanderers, who went down 1-0 to a 10-woman Sydney FC side. How have you seen? Obviously, the Wanderers only played 2 games to start the season, and we're seeing Adelaide, against Perth, and who are the other game they played? My brain has escaped me.
The Newcastle game.
Sorry,
is this
Adelaide,
the Wanderers?
Adelaide. This is Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, hold on. We've got this. Adelaide have played Sydney as well.
Sydney as well. But how do you see those two teams heading into this weekend's matchup?
There is so much change at Western Sydney. Kat Smith is an inexperienced coach at this level, despite having strong pedigree, particularly here in Victoria. I really think that the game against Sydney on the weekend, I really hoped that Western Sydney would have managed that situation better. They were 0-0. They had a player advantage for the majority of the match, and even then, I never really felt like they were, banging down the wall. The down wall was going to burst at any point in time, and of course that's against a behemoth of a Sydney FC team. That's true, but where this Western Sydney Wanderers side want to be and where they, arguably should be or could be, I was really disappointed in that sense. I think there is a degree of misfortune in that as well, particularly with the Melissa Caceres injury, because I think Melissa Caceres has been just about their best player this season. She's been fantastic. But as I sound like a broken record when I say there's lots of change in this squad, lots of new things, new players, and just a few pillars holding down the fort, the likes of Claire Hunt, who I think has been impressive. But I think that we need to start seeing some steps, or even if they're small steps, but some steps forward from Western Sydney, which we haven't seen in the first 2 games of the season.
Yeah, I think the longer the struggles in front of goal go on, the bigger it becomes. And obviously, there are some players there who were there last season who struggled to were part of that group that struggled to score. So there is a lot of change, and I think Kat Smith has spoken a lot about the fact that they do need to score a lot of goals, and it's a really big thing that they need to address as a team, because obviously you can't win football games without scoring goals. I don't know if it's a case of they need just one player to spark it, or if it needs to be a collective effort where we're not trying to get one player to score 10 goals this season. We're just trying to get everybody to contribute. And obviously with Caceres out, that's a big thing. But I think Sophie Harding has been going forward and getting crosses in there. They just haven't had anyone in the middle to reach those crosses that she's been playing in. So I think maybe it's a bit of them still adapting to Kat Smith's system, and I think that maybe once they do, because her structure is very well, if you've seen her sides, her other main sides, they're very structured and they know their roles. I think once they click, the goals might come. I don't know if it's going to be enough goals for them this season, but I do just want to see a step from last season, because last season in front of goal they weren't threatening, and that's how a lot of teams got away with maybe not being as strong defensively, because they weren't fearful of Western Sydney Wanderers when they were going forward.
And the only thing I'd add to that is that it's, in my mind, there's no way this is a single player fix. I don't think there's just a striker that they can bring in, a player of, Madison Haley's quality who would make this all okay. There are layers to this, and they're trying to make those structured changes with the new coach. And I hope that they can start to see those improvements in the next few weeks.
No, and absolutely. What we'll do, we'll head to a break, and then right after this break, we'll speak to Adelaide United coach Adrian Stenta.
Penalty conceding kind of situation, but Atkinson did well. Oh my goodness! Have you seen a more freakish goal in A-League history? Riley McGreen with a scorpion kick into the top corner. It's one of the most amazing things we've ever seen. Come on, Ernie, on your feet.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Maloney takes, and it's in! It's Ben Watson! It's Ben Watson for Wigan Athletic! They've surely won the FA Cup! For Dave Whelan, for Roberto Martinez! You just cannot write scripts like this!
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Pickett, she lays it off to Teresa Polias. It's an absolute peach. Is driving. What a hit from Melina Reyes. Wow.
And Sam Kerr has a hat-trick.
And we are back here on Radio Dub for the final time tonight. And you know what, Oscar? We need to finish the show off right. We do. We've spoken to a player. That's nice. But now we need to talk to the ones who make all the decisions before game time. They pick the players. We need to talk to one of the best coach of the season last year.
Right.
Adelaide United head coach Adrian Stenta. Adrian, thank you for joining us on the show. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No, it's good to have you on because, Adrian, I've coined a new phrase this season. It's called dress well, coach well, play well. Because I feel like I've seen you with some cool sneakers or just come in with some quality sneakers. Do you subscribe to that saying?
Possibly on the weekend. I normally just coach in a tracksuit or something like that. But the club's got me a suit for this season, so I put that on the weekend with a pair of white sneakers, and didn't go too well for us because we lost. But if I looked good, then that's something.
Do you think that you have the best sneaker game out of all the coaches in the competition, or do you think Alex Aparkas would have you pipped?
Absolutely not. I've got no fashion sense at all. So
maybe he had you wore your best sneakers the day that I saw it. I was like, oh, this guy, he's got it. He knows what he's doing. Maybe I've been deceived, Oscar.
I want to just say, Adrian, again, welcome to Radio Dub, where we ask the hard-hitting questions.
Absolutely.
This is pure tactical, in-depth analysis. No, look,
we're a serious show here.
I stay out of these kinds of debates because
your sneaker game is not right, Oscar.
So therefore, I'm not even going to pretend to engage in this conversation. I'm just going to swiftly move it along and say, Adrian, obviously we're now a few games into the season. started positively, obviously had the unfortunate loss last weekend. How have you seen your side's form early on?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but that's kind of the way it is generally at the start of the year because players come in with varying levels of fitness and game time for varying amounts of times. And so I always say it probably takes a good 3 or 4 rounds to see where teams are really at. But to pick up some points along the way, despite, not necessarily playing our best, has been positive.
Do you think with your side, obviously with the like last season, first time the club had made the finals in the competition, do you think there's more pressure heading into this season, or do you find like you're feeling a lot freer because you've hit that milestone from last season?
Probably a little bit of both, but to be honest, the pressure that we feel comes from within. So we've got a very driven group that was disappointed with the way last season ended, despite making that maiden finals appearance. And so they have really high expectations of themselves and each other. And so that's where that pressure comes from. And from my point of view, I'm just glad that we got that sort of elephant out of the room so people can stop talking about it and we can move on and concentrate on making more history.
And so what's different about this season, Adrian? Is that what do you see in this squad? Are the expectations different? Is there something different in terms of the way you're playing, the quality that you think will take you that extra step?
I think I've said this a few times, but I think we've probably got a little bit more of a balanced squad this year, a little bit more depth. And we've got some players that have been involved with the group for a number of years now, and they are really keen to try and, achieve something with this club because they've invested so much into it. So I think that real want and desire to, go as far as they can in this competition is certainly present in the conversations I have with them.
Has there been any players that you had with you last season, or maybe some new players you've got in this year that have really surprised you, have taken a leap, or of like their ability, they're better than what you thought they were going to be?
I wouldn't say they've surprised me or that they're better than I thought they were going to be, because I have, really a really high opinion of my playing group and the individuals within it. But I think if you're just looking over the first few games of the season, I think someone like Annie Grove in goals has been outstanding and has taken another step forward for a young keeper who I think is one of the best in the competition. And then probably 2 players that have really stood out for our team so far this year have been Dylan Holmes and Chelsea Dorber, who have both played some really consistent football across the first 3 rounds and led the side well.
The player at Adelaide that I think I've had the most fun watching early on in this season, Adrian, has been Xiao Yu. I mean, she brings something to the competition, really, that's so rare and that's so hard to find. And even if it hasn't all resulted yet in the goals and assists that I think most of us are expecting to see at some point.
My fantasy team is waiting for those points. I'm waiting.
Some fantasy teams are desperately clinging on to, I guess. How have you seen her contribution to the squad?
Yeah, Zhao's made a positive contribution to the squad. She's, a lovely person and great to have around the group. Technically a very good player as well. And it's just been a bit of an adjustment period for her, coming into a new environment. English is a second language as well. So there's been a bit of adjusting there and just trying to get used to, the way we play and the players around her. But she's been a really positive contributor so far.
I mean, obviously a player with significant pedigree and international experience. How did you, I guess, go about bringing her down to Adelaide?
Just our club has some connections with football over in China. We have a Chinese club that's a sister club of ours as well, and so it was just through that where some people within our club were able to get in contact with some people associated with the national team over there. And I think Australia is a good destination at the moment because the competition is getting stronger, but also because we're hosting the World Cup next year. So to have some players come down here and acclimatise to our conditions is of benefit for them.
How have you, obviously this season has seen like some changes, new team coming in and the extended season. As a coach, have you had to change anything about the way you'd have to approach the season, or has anything had to change from you in that way?
No, not really. We're just going about it as we normally would. I think the standard of the competition has increased this year from last year. So we know that there's a lot of, tough matches and tough opponents that we need to take on. But, I've been involved with this group for, quite a few years now. And so what we've done so far has worked well for us, and we'll continue down that similar sort of path.
Now, Adrian, we've had some of your players on, and they've spoken about how you have a quote each week, and you've got it, you said it. Obviously, with the longer season, you probably had to find some different quotes. Do you have is there a database of Adrian Stenta quotes that you just like the regular ones that you go to, or have you had to find some new ones this year?
I've probably changed it up a little bit, because you're right. It is hard to find a number of quotes, but I do have a little bit of a database that I keep. So that's a good pick up there. But I think I'm heading more down the path of storytelling this year than using quotes before games. So I try to make pre-game talks as interesting as possible, because you want the players to listen to what you're saying, and hopefully they take one or two things with them into the game.
Can you let us know what is there a favourite one of yours that you pulled out and you're like, I've done well here with this one?
Not really. To be honest, I'm so invested in the game that half the time I can't even remember what I say or what I speak about. So, so probably the girls always give me a hard time, because there was one game a couple of years ago where I actually quoted the Pope, I think, and that it probably didn't work out. Probably didn't work out as well as I would have hoped. So, one of my less successful ones.
So the Pope is a no-go for quotes. The quote doesn't have the quotes.
Well, Adrian, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, I don't think I'll be going back down that path again. So
no. The Pope is out. It's out.
If we were ever lucky enough to have an A-League's All Access episode with Adelaide United, would we get to hear one of either your quotes or your stories? Would we all be invited into this world?
Yeah, if that's what people were interested in and they wanted to hear, they're more than welcome to have a listen. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of the season for both the A-League men and women this year. I think it's given a really interesting insight into the what goes on in the football world during the week and on match days.
See, I'm a big fan of it, and see, what I imagine, Adrian, what you were doing was a bit of a Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society,
Yeah.
Just a real you guys. There's a scene where he's they're on the field and he's just they were running around saying this quote. That's the imagery I have, and then on the final day of the season, they all go, "Oh, Captain, my captain."
Yeah.
Is that? Am I thinking of it wrong, or
are we reading too far into this?
We're reading too far into it.
Yes and no. I do come from a teaching background, so I am a high school teacher. So I guess there's that connection with Dead Poets Society. I like a captive audience.
And on a slightly more serious note, I guess as a coach who's clearly had success quite recently, how much of your success in the coaching sphere do you attribute to, I guess, that capacity to motivate, the capacity to tell stories, as opposed to strict tactics and strategy and player selection?
I think there's a place for all of it. It's all really important. If you get too caught up in just one aspect or dimension of coaching, then I think you run the risk of not fulfilling some of the other ones. And for me, coaching is all about two things, about teaching and learning, and also about relationships. And so, I try and find interesting ways to engage the players so that we have that relationship, and we're able to sort of learn off each other.
Heading into this weekend, obviously your side faces the Wanderers, and looking at that game, what are you thinking about that game? Do you see any things that the key matchups that for your side you're this is going to be a great test for our side to see how we are defensively or going forward or whichever?
Yeah, all of our clashes with Western Sydney over the last few years have been really tight ones, and they always give us a really good game. hard to know because they've only played a couple of games this year and a new coach and a lot of new players as well. So we know that we're going there to face a side that's going to be really hungry for their first win for the year. And my side needs to respond, after what happened at the end of our game last week as well. So I think it's going to be an excellent clash over in Sydney, and we're really looking forward to it.
And I've got to ask now, I don't know, because you moved your head. Is that a Rafael Nadal hat on the top of your head just then? Is that what you're wearing? Is it? Look at that.
Yes.
Favourite coach in the competition, right there. Favourite coach. I saw that Rafa hat, and I said, "This is why Adrian is one of my favourite coaches in the competition." I've seen enough spot. Are you a Rafa fan, Adrian?
I am big Rafa fan.
Yes.
Love Federer as well. I used to play a bit of tennis as well, actually, and really enjoy that game, watching those matches, and fantastic athletes, really high skill level, really mentally tough as well. So, yeah, I love the summer of tennis when it comes to Australia.
No,
it's coming to Adelaide in a few weeks as well, I think. So, it's a big time for Adrian Stenta.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you reckon you would beat every other coach in the competition in a tennis game?
Great question.
Oh, might as well just say yes to make it interesting.
Come on. Of course. If you said no, it would have been like, don't be too humble. Like, come on. Like, be serious. Yeah, you would comfortably. Do you reckon would be like the biggest? Like, if there was like a A-League A-League women's coaches just in a competition of just like 10 sports, who do you reckon comes down top? Do you reckon like you've coming like pretty close to the top?
Of 10 different sports?
Yeah, just like, just like at the end of it was like
multi-athlete,
multi-athlete, your points at the end of it all.
I'm not sure, actually. It would depend on what the sports would be, but I'd definitely give it a crack. I'd like to think I'd finish in the top half for sure.
Yeah.
But you'd back your tennis game against any of the other coaches?
I haven't played tennis for a while, but yeah.
With the Rafa hat, done, finished.
Yeah.
No one's got it. No one's got a chance. And I think on that note, Adrian, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us on Radio Dub, and good luck for this weekend's matchup against the Wanderers, and good luck for the rest of the season. Maybe you might be back-to-back Coach of the Year. Maybe, who knows? Is that a possibility? You going for it?
You never know. You never know. We'll see what happens. But I'd rather win something with the team than anything individual this year. And if we can do that, I'll be very happy.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank all of you for joining us tonight on Radio Dub. You can always catch us on anywhere, really.
All the platforms.
All the platforms, and we shall see you next week. You'll be here, Oscar.
Next week.
Oh, actually, you might not be here.
We'll see.
Maybe Lockie will be back. We'll have to think about it. Bye for now, but not forever.
Pickett, she lays it off. Teresa Polias